We're going to bring in retired four-star General Jack Keane, the chairman at the Institute for the Study of War and a Fox News senior strategic analyst. And General Keane, I want to get to your military moxie in a moment, but I want to start with what I believe is most significant. Is this a pivotal foreign policy point in Mr. Trump's presidency?
Well, yes, it certainly will be. I mean, we were just talking about leaving Syria. I think there's probably some kind of connection here. And Assad using chemical weapons again, a bold, brazen move on his part, to be sure, but he possibly thought maybe he's got a free hand. And let's face it, we've never made him totally pay the price for the use of chemical weapons. So I think that's what we're about here. If this suspected use is certainly verified, I think this time we don't deliver a measured, proportionate response like we did the last time, which was just to strike the airfield from which the airplanes and the chemicals came. This time, we take out the entire Assad Airpower infrastructure, 6 operational airfields, and all the things that support air power around that. We should do it in concert with some of our allies who also want to uphold the international community norms and standards here. This is an assault not just on the Syrian people. This is an assault on the entire international community that prohibits the use of these kind of tragic weapons.
Right, and they can't expect the U.S. to go it alone. Meanwhile, listen, there is no emboldened Bashar al-Assad without the backing of Iran and Russia. So, A, could this be a play by them to provoke or test President Trump? And then B, you've got President Trump tweeting in part that President Putin, Russia, and Iran are responsible for backing animal Assad. Big price. So how would you advise the president to specifically handle those countries?
Well, I don't think they're trying to provoke them at all. I just think they have incredible confidence about what they've been able to achieve in Syria. They dominate and control Syria. They are now conducting a military buildup in Syria to encroach on Israel. This is how brazen they are. There's tens of thousands of Hezbollah that are the main killers in Syria, not Assad's ground forces. So Russia and Iran have been enormously successful in consolidating their power base in Syria. And that's why it's an anchor for so much that's wrong in the Middle East. Iran now has a land base, a land bridge that they can move stuff across the terrain through Iraq, through Syria, into Lebanon, set up missile bases in Syria. This is a major problem strategically for the United States. Russia now has a major strategic foothold in the Middle East. What they want to do, Othel, is replace the United States as the most influential country in the Middle East that's outside the region.
And how do we stop them from doing that?
We work with I have said for some time, it's time for an Arab NATO. It's time for us to come together in an alliance. The president, a year ago, last summer, said at Riyadh, with 55 heads of states there, the president said this to him. It was an historic visit, but it was also a profound visit, because of the words that he chose to use. A paraphrase of those are this. He said, I will stand with you against the major strategic threat in the region, Iran. And together, we will eliminate radical Islam. I think he used the term violent extremism. Those two things are operating here, but the major strategic threat in that region is Iran's malign and aggressive behavior, now having a major political and military ally in Russia. And I think we've got to formalize the relationship, and we've got to counter and confront these aggressors in that region.
And finally, General Keane, you're also, as I said earlier, the chairman of the Institute for the Study of War. Is fighting against a chemical attack a different kind of war?
Well, what you have to do is destroy the delivery systems of that chemical attack. What we will likely do, if this is verified, is we will use cruise missile standoff systems, and they will come from surface ships, submarines. They can also come from aircraft. Hopefully we'll bring some allies in to participate. I think we take down all the airfields and all the infrastructure around it, fuel, maintenance warehouses, ammunition depots, and the like. If we want to take out the airfields themselves, cruise missiles can't do that, then we've got to bring in a stealth aircraft to do that. That's a decision and recommendations and options that will go to the president in terms of how comprehensive the strike, where it takes place, and the lethality of it.
Yeah, well, I know the president will be meeting with and also having dinner with some of his military leaders this week, so I'm sure that that will be a topic of discussion there. General Keane, it is always a pleasure to talk to you, and I really appreciate your analysis. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good talking to you, Othel.
Thank you.